I walked away from the thriving restaurant I built with my husband after he handed it over to his irresponsible sister. Now she's begging me to come back and save it before it crashes for good. Should I jump in to fix the mess or let the legacy we created together disappear? I'm Felicia, 50F, and I'm honestly so lost right now. I need a fresh, outside perspective because I seriously feel like Marcus, 53 man, my husband, and his whole family are trying to convince me I'm the crazy one here. Here's the deal. About 8 years ago, Marcus and I opened up our own restaurant in our small town. It took off way faster than we could have imagined, and within a couple of years, it was getting great press, even picked up in a national travel guide. Our place sort of turned into our pride and joy, almost like we raised it together. It was really our baby. Marcus and I made an incredible team. He took care of all the logistics, the business side of things, while I poured my soul into the food and created the warm, friendly atmosphere we became known for. We never had a bad season. People just kept coming back. We launched the first cloud kitchen in our area during the pandemic, and the restaurant not only survived, it thrived. Locals loved it and travelers sought it out. Now, from the outside, things looked perfect. But behind the scenes, Marcus drove me nuts with how he bent over backwards for his parents and relatives. He just couldn't say no. If his father needed our pickup for something, even if we couldn't spare it, Marcus handed over the keys. If his uncle wanted to eat for free, Marcus wouldn't say a word. It stung. Because when I tried to draw boundaries so we weren't being taken for a ride, I became the villain in his family's eyes. They'd whisper about me, avoid me at gatherings, all that. I get being generous and helping family. I do, but with Marcus's family, it was overkill. Despite all of this, Marcus truly is a good man. So I tried to live with it and told myself that if his worst flaw is being too generous with loved ones, maybe I got off easy. Until a few years ago, when things took a hard left, Marcus's sister Ivy, 40F, has always had a hard time. She got pregnant when she was 28, and her boyfriend at the time bailed when things got real. She put everything into raising her daughter and worked what sounded like an absolutely brutal office job just to get by. Then, as the restaurant picked up steam, Ivy started talking about working with us, doing management and marketing. To be honest, all I felt was dread. Ivy had zero experience with the restaurant world. She'd never really interacted much with our community either. I'd invited her to farmers markets and pop-up stalls with us, but she always bailed at the last minute. She wasn't eager to be part of it, not until she suddenly left her job during the pandemic and began hinting more and more to Marcus about coming on board. I was totally against it. Marcus, of course, gave in. He argued that at least it would provide some security for our niece. Love my niece, but I didn't see the world ending if Ivy had to be between jobs for a bit. They had savings, and honestly, I would have been happy to chip in and help them out if need be. The big issue for me was that Ivy didn't love the food, didn't care about the people, or the heart of what we built. Eventually, I tried to meet Marcus in the middle and asked if she could just do paperwork or a back office role instead so she wouldn't be unhappy. Marcus dismissed that. Apparently, Ivy wanted nothing to do with work that bored her senseless. Soon after, without really consulting me, Marcus made her our direct equal in the business. I was mad, but since we never established an official structure or contracts, there was nothing I could really do. Plus, fighting in court with my husband was unthinkable to me. I just wanted him to realize he wasn't treating me like a real partner, and it hurt. The next 2 years with Ivy at the restaurant were pure frustration. She seemed to be actively ignoring what our customers loved, try to axe hometown favorites off the menu just to chase the latest food trend she saw online. Locals hated it, and they only came back when I corrected her mistakes. I was seriously reaching my limit, so I sat Marcus down and told him, I'm ready to retire. Financially, we were in a great place even before Ivy joined, and the only reason I stayed was the love I had for our place. But with Ivy there was nothing left for me to enjoy. Marcus said he was okay with this and would step back as well. This immediately set off alarm bells. Who would take charge of the restaurant now? Would we sell it or shut it down? Marcus's answer? I was thinking we could make Ivy the owner. Keep it in the family. Absolutely not. I made it clear how unfit Ivy was for running the restaurant, that she was the reason I was quitting in the first place. He just brushed me off. I was furious, but tired of fighting. I just let go. I'll be honest, retirement has been great for me. Marcus, without the work stress, has been the best husband I've ever had. But every time I pass by the restaurant, seeing the place go further and further downhill, I get this ugly, guilty satisfaction. One evening, Marcus quietly asked if I'd ever consider coming back just to teach Ivy how to manage things. I told him I genuinely liked my new life and wasn't interested. He didn't fight me on it. But the next day, Ivy called me, nearly in tears, ranting about the shocking costs of keeping the business afloat. She flat out admitted she'd have to sell for next to nothing unless I stepped in and helped restore the place to what it was. A part of me seriously considered it. But I know that unless Ivy learns to do the work herself, I'll just be plugging holes until the next leak springs. If things keep going this way, the legacy we built will end up sold for peanuts. Am I the AH for not racing back in to save it? Update 1. I've read all your replies. The standout comment suggested that I might go back as a consultant instead of a co-owner or savior, which honestly sounds ideal. If Ivy doesn't listen to me, I'm not going down with the ship. But I can still help her, on my own terms, to turn things around. Ivy, for all her faults, isn't a bad person. She just isn't cut out for this. I'm slightly anxious, since last time, my advice went in one ear and out the other. I proposed the consultant role to Marcus, and he thought it made perfect sense. We invited Ivy over for drinks to discuss. When I explained my idea, to observe, make recommendations, help at my own pace, she was relieved and surprisingly eager. Starting tomorrow, I'll shadow her to figure out where things are going off the rails. It already feels like Kitchen Nightmares in real life. Marcus and I love that show. We always got a kick out of it, and it's wild to think I'm now the one coming in to save a struggling business. Hopefully, I can work some of that TV magic before it's too late. Update 2. Just wrapped up my first day as consultant, shadowing Ivy as she managed the restaurant. Her global food ideas aren't terrible in theory, but in our small town, locals just want comfort food, something familiar, not something exotic they can't pronounce. I laid it all out for her, and finally, it seemed to click. We spent the rest of the day revising the menu, slashing failed experiments, and reviving the hits. We agreed the place would close for a few weeks to prepare for a big reopening, a fresh start. Then I called every contact I'd made over the past 8 years, other restaurant owners, local press, influencers, and got them hyped for the comeback. I also spent time showing Ivy all the unwritten rules of owning a business in a small town, the alliances and rivalries, the events where every business owner is expected to show up. Ivy seemed almost shocked by how much goes on outside the kitchen. It's a step in the right direction. If anything, it made her realize that being the boss is about community, not just recipes or ideas. Update 3. The grand reopening was a hit. Apparently, word got around that I was back in the kitchen, so there was a huge turnout. But most important, the food did the talking and people stayed. I gave a quick speech, publicly giving Ivy credit for learning and for letting me work with her. And I made sure everyone knew one of the day's most popular dishes was Ivy's creation. It may seem small, but it made a huge difference to Ivy and to our regulars. She got a real shot of confidence, and for the first time, community approval. There's still plenty of work to do, but I finally believe things are headed in the right direction. Marcus has been so grateful that I stepped in. With a little more elbow grease, I think I'll be able to retire for good, this time with peace of mind that the restaurant will keep our legacy alive. That wraps up the whole story. In this story, the turning point was really about boundaries and the difficulty of separating family loyalty from smart business. The choice to return, not as a savior but as a consultant, offered a balance between protecting a legacy and encouraging someone else's growth. What do you think? What would you do if your family's legacy was at risk because of someone else's stubbornness? Would you rush in to save it or let them face the consequences?